Number two, if you're going to lend, you don't ask for it back. What have you just done? If you've lent somebody and not asked for it back, what have you just done? You've given them a gift. If you lend somebody, but what happens if you ask for it back? A thought of Belial has entered your heart. A thought of Belial has entered your mind. And you haven't given him a release. You brought him into bondage. You haven't given him a... Yahweh is into release. Big time. Big time. Release of sin. Release of debt. Release of transgression. Yahweh is the ultimate, the great release, and He expects His children to conduct themselves accordingly, to walk and to work and to grant forgiveness, pardon, and the great release. That's right, we walk as He walked in the world. 19 through 20. Devarim 23, 19 through 20. Verse 20. Unto a ger you may lend with interest. Look at that. 20%, 30%, whatever you can get away with. Because he's a stranger, he's a heathen. To a ger you may lend with interest, but to your brother you shall not lend with interest. So that Yahweh your Elohim may bless you in all that you set your hand to do in the land which you are going to possess. You see that? You shall not lend to your brother, you shall give to your brother. But when you lend with interest, you're doubling your sin. Number one, you shouldn't be lending, making a slave out of your brother instead of a brother in Yeshua. You're turning him into a slave, into a lava, a borrower, lava, an indebted borrower, lava. You shall not lend to your brother, but especially you should not lend with interest of anything. Food, money, anything. But to a ger, a stranger, you may lend, but to your brother, you shall not lend, number one, and you shall not lend with interest, so that you can be blessed. Can I hear a good amen? So why do we have to adopt these principles? So that we can be blessed. There are people in this congregation right now, they're not financially blessed because you thought you were doing right, they thought they were doing right, and you entered into a lending-borrowing relationship, and now the whole relationship is fatete and bankus. You don't talk to each other, you don't speak to each other, you can't even look at their ugly face. And they can't be honest with you, they can't look at, to be frank with you, they can't look at your ugly face either. Because you entered into an illicit relationship. Because you didn't know better. Okay, that's okay. So we learn. That's okay. We don't repeat. We don't repeat. We be more than a lender. We be a giver. And then we're an extension of Yahweh's character when we give. I'm not saying turn a deaf ear to people's needs. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying meet their needs the right way and don't enter into a slave relationship with them. Baruch Hashem, Yahweh. Yahweh only allows lending to non-Israelites and non-Israelite nations, since non-Israelites and non-Israelite nations could pay interest on Israel's money. Within the kingdom, no such pagan practice should take place. I'll say that again. Within the kingdom, no lending and no lending with interest. No such pagan practice should take place. Why did Yahweh say there should be no lending with interest in the kingdom? Why? To remove the profit motive from lending. If there's no profit in lending except sorrow and heartache, then the motive, the profit motive, has been erased from lending. If I can charge you interest, there's a profit motive to me lending you money. But if I can't charge you interest, then I have no profit motive in the things of Israel. Sister Kim, if you would, come up. How many enjoyed that message? I'll give Yahweh a clap offering, if you can. Hey, Sister Yahaloma, Bruno. It's all about the great release. How did Yahweh release you? He gave, and he didn't ask for anything back. How do we take care of our brother? We give. We don't owe them anything except to love them. And we either become a giver or we send them to another giver. But we don't enter into a pagan practice to make ourselves feel good and to put a temporary band-aid on their need. Baruch Hashem, Yahweh.